Before we begin, I'd like to ask anyone who's out there that works for an engineering firm, if you could just please include that under your name of who you're affiliated with, please. Thank you.
All right, and you are good to go, Chairman Rhines.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Town of Dayton. This is the Town of Dayton Planning Board public hearing / regular meeting for Wednesday, January 19th, 2022 at 6 p.m. held remotely. Due to the increasing concern surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting / public hearing will be held remotely with no physical meeting location. Those seeking to provide public input should do so using the methods listed below. Video and audio of the meeting will be aired on Comcast Local TV 9 and on the Town of Dayton Planning and Land Use YouTube channel, which can be accessed using this link, www.youtube.com/channel. Public input may be provided using the following methods. 1, email keasterday@dayton-ma.gov. Again, it's keasterday@dayton-ma.gov 1 day prior to the meeting. And please use the email subject line, Planning Board, date 1/19/2020, public input, and include your name and address for the record. Secondly, you may join Zoom in the meeting by going to www.zoom.com or dial by your location at 646-558-8656. The meeting ID is 828-0474-6081. Again, the meeting ID is 828-0474-6081. And the passcode for this evening's meeting is 691240. Again, that is 691240. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. And everyone, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
which stands one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Members of the board, this is going to be by a roll call vote. I'm going to entertain a motion to confirm the next meeting date of February 2nd of 2022.
Make that motion.
Vice Chairman Wood.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Excuse me, a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Let's vote by roll. Vice Chairman Woods.
Sammy's on mute. Woody, you're on mute.
Aye.
Thank you. Clerk Figueredo.
Aye.
Member Carvalho.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Rhines. Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to move on to agenda item number 4A, and that is the Dayton Historic Properties Survey Update Presentation with Historical Commission Chair Patricia Gales. Mrs. Gales, good evening. You have the floor, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. I just thought it was important to inform the planning board to keep everyone in the loop as to what's going on with our preservation plans and our survey that we're doing. So we have the Dayton Community-Wide Survey, Historic Property Survey Update. We got the grant at town meeting from the CPC for $25,000. We also got a grant for half of that from the Massachusetts Historical Commission. So the town will be reimbursed for the $12,500. We hired a preservation consultant, Stacy Spies. So she's been working on the survey plan. It's made up of 4 phases. We're through 2 of the phases and have just entered the 3rd phase. We're identifying our oldest historic resources and properties in town so that we can evaluate them for their significance for such considerations as the National Register of Historic Places. And also, so we know in Dayton what properties we have, because we do have a significant historical history, which is really great. This work actually will follow up on the work that was done by past local historical commissions, and town historians. So phase 1 set up the methodology and the criteria for the properties to be included. Phase 2, which we just finished in December, establish the final list of properties and resources. On the final list are 94 resources / properties. Most are 100 years old plus. 3 of them are around 75 years old. And we included those because they show great architectural integrity still. And we felt it was important to document them before those pieces are lost. Phase 3 is the bulk of the work that the consultant will doing, and she will produce the 94 draft inventory forms with photos and a small locus map on it, and a preliminary list of the resources that would be recommended for the National Register of Historic Places. We do have 2 National Historic Districts in Dayton already. The one on Pleasant Street, the Wharf District, and the one on Water Street, the Coram Shipyard District. When you're on the National Register of Historic Places, that is a honorable designation. There's no guidelines or bylaws that you have to follow to be on that register. Phase 4 will include our final forms and also the whole list for the inventories and the properties. All of this information is listed on the MACRIS website, which is the Massachusetts Historical Commission's site for Massachusetts, I forget what they call it now, cultural resources in information services. So you can go to that website and click on Dayton, and you can find these forms online. At the end of the project, we will also have paper copies of everything that is done, all of the forms, and they will be available to the public and to any boards that would be needing them. We'll also have a map indicating where these properties are in town. It'll be a hard copy map. And I'm working right now with the town administrator and the assessors to create a historic overlay for the GIS mapping system. So that's in progress. Also, throughout this whole process, we've been consulting with the town historian, and she will be continued to be included in the whole process. So the goals of the survey and planning grant actually reflect the basic steps of historic preservation. The first step is identification, which we're doing right now. The second step is evaluation, and that's when we'll take a look at all of that information, discuss it with all of the parties and the stakeholders involved, and also protecting, which is an ongoing discussion with the stakeholders that will help her protect the uniqueness of Dayton. So as the planning board, you get a lot of properties that come in front of you. So this might be some information that you might find useful in the future. So I'll answer any questions if I can.
Thank you, Mrs. Gales. Do any of the members of the board have any questions for Mrs. Gales?
No, not at this time. Thank you for sharing that, and good luck on your search. Looking forward to see what they come up with.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Feel the same way, Jeff. It's going to be great to see that our historical inventory is going to be taken care of. Houses will be designated, I'm sure, with plaques or wooden markers to know the year when the house was built and the historical nature of why it was built. You know, I'll just give you an example. If you go to Elm Street and Main Street on the corner, if you're heading in the westerly direction, the large white house on the left, I believe that was a rooming house back in the day, Pat. Am I correct in saying that?
House you talking about?
Mr. Medeiros' old house that used to be on the corner of Elm and Main on the left. We had the little golf.
Oh, yeah. It was, you mean like the Brown Tavern?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It was a tavern. It was an inn. Exactly. The Historical Commission does have a historical marker program. And the applications you can get through the website or by contacting any of the members or, town hall. And the owners of the properties have to purchase the marker But they can fill out an application that indicates the historic importance of the property, and then we'll evaluate it, and they're allowed to purchase a marker, that is, that we approved. So, and I know Joanne has an old house and she's sitting there. She has to fill hers out.
I'm guilty.
That's why I brought that up. I just wanted to let people know again what Mrs. Gills has said, that, if you'd like to have a marker on your home, you have to pay for it. You have to fill out an application and go through the processes. And I just want to remind residents that that is available for them. So again, Mrs. Gill, thank you very much for your presentation.
Oh, you're welcome. And if anytime you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out. So, and I'll leave you guys to the rest of your meeting. Great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Yep, you too.
Gentlemen of the board, I'm going to move on to agenda item 4B, and that is the public hearing continued for Grasshopper Energy, 0 Brook Street, map 16, lot 28, special permit, site plan, major modification request. Do we have a representative this evening on from Grasshopper who would like to speak on this?
Yes, good evening. My name is Victoria Dalmas. I'm an attorney representing Grasshopper from Senni and Associates, 1615 Cape Lane, Brewster, Massachusetts. With me tonight.
Good evening, Dalmas. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. With me tonight in the team, we have Dylan Firth of STEM, in case there are any questions regarding the BESS system. We also have Nick Fasandola, our engineer from Level Design. And with me from Grasshopper this evening is Alexandra Kanamputsa as well.
Thank you. Gentlemen of the board, we all know that they've been put an application in for major modification requests for telephone poles and other items on the site. Mrs. Easterday, if you wanted to just elaborate a little more on their major modification request, please.
Do we have to vote to continue the public hearing, or is that automatically continued from previous?
Yeah, so we can do that after I give an update, the continuance.
All right, thanks.
So as you know, we're still working on the standard operating procedure for the battery storage units, which I believe is still the outstanding item that the board is trying to define. Excuse me. So I had an extensive meeting with the building commissioner, the fire chief, and Todd Pilling from the Board of Health. And it was a very extensive meeting. It was probably about 2.5 hours. So we had a really long meeting to discuss and kind of brainstorm, so that the hope is that the departments are all coming together as one. Forgive me. So to all coming together as one, so that, we're not a dog chasing its tail. I know that's not a very professional term, but so that we can all come together as one, and so that the planning board can come and have their findings and decisions and have it solidified, so that it's very clear on what the town needs from the applicant for the battery storage units. So we did make a very good headway, and we did, I think, it was a very productive meeting, and we got very far. But we're not quite there yet. So I did draft up what we came up with, and I presented it to the fire chief, the building commissioner, and Todd Pilling from the health department. And they're reviewing it. I just haven't heard back. So I'm waiting to hear back, and then we'll get ready so I can go over it with the board, and then we can all collectively get together and then be able to have a solid foundation, which is probably a better way of coming together. So with that said, the board will need some more time so that they can come up with that plan. So they're going to be requesting a continuation on the matter so that they can get that solid foundation.
Okay. Fair enough. Just a question.
Sure.
As you've been working through the information that was provided, is there anything that you envision that we might need to submit or start working on to support the ongoing effort?
Well, it's kind of hard to say, only because I think the board would have to confirm it. So I'd hate to go and say, you need this and this and this, and then the board come back after the fact and say, well, no, we're not going to do that, right? But in the meantime, what I will do is I'll talk to the other departments, building commissioner, fire chief, and Todd Pilling, and one of the board members, and say, this part seems pretty solid. Since this seems solid, should we have them work on that? And then we can go from there. I think that might be a more productive way.
Okay.
If the board is okay with that. I don't know, does any of the board members have an objection to that?
Mrs. Easterday, I don't personally. I just want to let everyone know that I've been looking through some documents that have been provided. They're very extensive, pretty lengthy, in regards to updating our local bylaws, in regards to, solar itself, including battery storage. We're working diligently on a standard operating procedure. And I just want everybody to know that in one of the documents, I'm just going to read very briefly from it, and this is a solar best practices guide, is that the Department of Energy has established an energy storage safety collaborative, which is currently working on updates to the various safety codes, regulations, and standards, collectively known as the CSR, which is what the Federal Code of Regulation goes by, applicable to energy storage. Massachusetts Clean Energy Center reports it is supporting the development and implementation of appropriate CSRs, as well as exploring outreach and education opportunities for emergency personnel and other relevant authorities. So that's just briefly what it covers also, but there is a section in here also, it goes right into safety. And depends on how your jurisdiction is written out, whether it be a city or town. And in regards to safety codes in a given municipality are enforced by authorities having jurisdiction, or an AHJ, which is a collective term for the organizations, agencies, or individuals responsible for enforcing the requirements of a specific code of standard. So what that means is that the fire chief is still going to have final say on sign-off on battery storage if it is passed at that location. Now, I understand that they are looking to try to get on the grid as soon as they can, but as far as I'm concerned is that those containers are one single unit regardless of the batteries are stored in there or not. They are one single unit. I see the look on some individuals' faces out there, but if you look into it, they are considered one single unit without the battery storage in there. So with that being said, again, we're working on standard operating procedure, and we're working very diligently with all the different boards and committees in regard to this. Now, I do want to move on from this to, we had preliminary discussions with Attorney Dalmas, a representative from Grasshopper, myself, and Tom Ferry. We went out and did a site inspection on screening, extra screening at the site. So as of my thought process is that the screening that would potentially be included on the site would have to be presented to us through a minor site plan review, first off. That would be done through a minor site plan review. So I'm looking forward to having them, present that paperwork to us, and so, we can get going on this. Now, also, they have installed a gate at the facility, an emergency gate, lock gate, and the fire chief has asked for, extensive, key boxes to be located in certain areas. In regards to us approving the gate, we do not have to. That's in the purview of also the highway superintendent and the fire chief. They've made that decision that they like the aesthetics of the gates and the location of where it's going to be. Now, Mrs. Easterday, I don't know if I'm missing anything.
I don't think so. I think that was pretty much it.
I just have one question, if I may.
Sure, Attorney Dalmas, go ahead.
Thank you. At a couple prior hearings, this sort of public safety concept of a temporary snow fence has been brought up around that front basin. And that is in progress. I just wanted to verify that that's something, given it's a temporary snow fence, that wouldn't need a minor modification request.
I would have to think that it probably would not, because it is a site safety issue. Personally, I believe, it's a site safety issue. I believe the members of the board would be amenable to, of course, putting up a snow fence to, protect the, the children or the residents, just in case someone did get through the property, unexpectedly, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Mrs. Easterday, have I missed anything in regards to Grasshopper?
No, I think that was it. We're just gonna need another motion to continue.
Okay. So, gentlemen of the board, I'm going to open it up right now. If you do have any questions of Attorney Dalmas, now's the time. Any questions? I see everyone has smiles on their faces this evening. Thank you, gentlemen. So, gentlemen, at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for Grasshopper Energy, 0 Brook Street, map 16, lot 28, special permit, site plan major modification request until what date, Mrs. Easterday?
Did you want to go to the February 2nd or the February 16th?
We have open space?
Yes, the only thing we have on that agenda is the 620 Spring Street.
Okay. So, gentlemen, I'm going to, again, entertain a motion to be continued until February 2nd of 2022 at 6 p.m.
So moved.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Vice Chairman Woods,
Aye.
Clerk Figueredo,
Aye.
Member Cavallo,
Aye.
Member Cunha,
Aye.
Member Rhines, aye. Gentlemen, thank you. Attorney Dalmas, thank you as always for being with us.
Thank you so
And
much.
we look forward. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to Mrs. Easterday at any time, and vice versa, we will do the same.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you
too.
very much. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you. So let's let things stir up a little bit here.
You said everyone. I thought you were letting everybody off the hook, including us.
Yeah. So, gentlemen of the board, I'm going to move on to agenda item 4C, that's the review, discuss, and act on a minor modification site plan review request from BWC Greenbrook LLC 0 and 624 Middle Street, map 8, lot 31 and 80, and 903 Tremont Street, map 8, lot 27. Mr. Riccio, how are you, sir?
Good, and good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Rich Riccio here on behalf of BWC Greenbrook LLC. I just wanted to take a second just to, apologize if there was any misunderstanding on why we were at the meeting last month, a couple weeks ago. We weren't looking for any formal decisions.
Rich, can I just interrupt you just for a second?
Yep.
I'd be remiss that the board, the Town of Dayton Planning Board, did not recognize the recent passing of Mr. Christopher King and his wife due to circumstances that we just don't know. And our sympathies go out to his 6-year-old and 1-year-old that he left behind. So again, our deepest condolences go out to Mr. King's remaining family. Rich, you go right ahead, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to, apologize once again, if for any misunderstanding. We weren't trying to, pull anything past the board or anything at our meeting last time. We're just looking for some guidance, and we did submit the formal request for the minor modification that we were discussing at the last meeting. I will share my screen if I can.
You should be good to go. I just made you co-host, so
Okay.
there you go.
This is the plan. We had submitted a letter dated January 6th summarizing 2 changes that we wanted to discuss with the board as a minor modification to the site plan. The first was the elimination of the intermediate cul-de-sac on the site, which was there for emergency turnaround. In discussions with the fire chief, we came up with an alternative design showing a 60-foot long gravel turnaround for the emergency access in the center of the array, so they don't have to go all the way to the southern extent of the array. I believe that you do have correspondence from the fire chief confirming his acceptance of that alternative. The second minor change was with regards to actually pulling away a few panels at the southern portion of the array to provide a gravel area that would be used as part of the agricultural operations on the site. The intent is to graze animals on this southern portion of the array, and that area would be used as a collection point for the animals on site. So basically, we're actually reducing the number of modules on the property from the original design. Subsequent to that submittal that I made, we have had some discussions with Ms. Racine, the landowner, the southern portion of the array, with regards to providing an access around the array for her to get to her to the property to the west of the array. Basically, all that required us to do was shift the proposed fence line west 8 feet in where my cursor is showing right now, just to provide her space to get around the array without having to go through the array. No change to the limit of work there. I do understand that wasn't mentioned in my initial letter, but we're hoping the board could consider that as well as part of this minor modification request. Ms. Racine's on this evening. If you have any questions directly for her. I also have Ian Ward and Chris Knight from Blue Wave that could answer any questions with regards to the internal request. So with that, I just take any questions the board may have.
So I'm looking at this is Jeff. I'm looking at your package that you sent along, and the minor modification that you're presenting right now was in the package we received. Like I said, I didn't recognize that fence line was what you were referring to. But between that and the other requested modifications, I don't have any concerns. I think it's good that you're able to make that shift internally to accommodate one of the butters there. So thank you for doing that. But other than that, Mr. Riccio, how do you say your last name? Sorry.
Riccio.
Mr. Riccio. I don't have any other concerns, and Chairman, I'm good with this.
I have one concern on the southern part. I don't see any turnaround there. Is that something that you intend to do in the future, or?
On the southern portion of the array, if you look at the screen where my hand is right now, this is 100-foot wide gravel turnaround. That's for the emergency vehicles.
Okay.
Within the fence line. Yeah. That's part of this proposal.
So that's the furthest you're gonna go, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm good.
Hey,
Mr. Woods, Vice Chairman Woods, any questions?
Robert Woods here. And I'd like to apologize to Rich for the comments I had at the last meeting. And I just wanted him to know personally, I think that Rich does a very good job. I just didn't appreciate discussing anything without having the proper paperwork, and I hope that you can accept that. I wouldn't let that go by anyone else, and I'm not gonna let it go by you, but you know, Rich, you've been before us many, many times, and I really appreciate you, and I think you do a great job. But I'd like to have the information in front of me before we discuss anything.
I totally appreciate that as well, and I understand your concern with not having the stuff in advance. So thanks for those comments. And
no problem. You know, I didn't mean to be. You know, I don't want to come down too.
No, I hear you.
Yeah. I have no problem at all with this minor site plan review. I do have something to say about something else, but I'll wait and I'll let everybody else finish.
Okay. Mr. Cunha, any questions?
None here. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, within your packet, you're going to see on the second page to the rear that the fire chief has weighed in on the change of the circular driveway in the middle of the array to go to a hammerhead. That's been approved. The fire chief did approve that. So looked at his plans extensively and sent it his comments via email. I just want to read an email that was dated from Lisa Caledonia, and this is from our conservation agent. It was dated Wednesday, January 19th of 2022 at 10:32 p.m. And this was to our office manager, Mrs. Easterday. And this is in regards to the potential path that Mrs. Racine would like to have around her array that used to be an old walking path back in the day. It says, please be advised, the project currently has an order of conditions issued on 8/8 of 2020 for the project based on plans dated on 5/8 of 2020, prepared by Field Engineering Company Incorporated, signed and stamped by Mr. Richard Riccio, Jr., P.E. Any changes to this project requires them to refile with the Conservation Commission and request an amended order of conditions. And the reason being is that the location that they're speaking of is inside an area of the vernal pool. So it needs to go back to conservation before we can even act on that second issue in regards to this application this evening. The first issue we can vote on to accept a hammerhead turnaround as the minor site plan request by Mr. Riccio for the array located at 903 Tremont Street. We can do that. But in regards to the second issue, that has to go back to conservation. We can't act on that until they do.
Mr. Chairman, you're talking about the path as to being the second issue?
Yes, correct, Rich.
Okay, because we did have two requests in our original submittal. One was for the hammerhead and the removal of some panels within the array. I just want to clarify that's you're okay with those two issues.
Rich, the panels, are they going to be relocated within the array itself, or they're just going to be removed completely?
No, they were removed, and we're actually, with this design, we've got about, almost 1,000 fewer panels on the site overall due to the improved efficiency of them and such. So, no, they were removed from the site.
Okay. I don't know if this question is appropriate to ask at this time, but I'm going to. Is that on the plans that have been presented, and even the plans in the past, it does state that there is a proposed battery storage location on this facility for equipment pads, proposed energy storage and electrical equipment pads. Rich, any further discussions with your engineers in regards to this?
I'll let Chris or Mike from Blue Wave discuss that. I don't believe we've developed that any further, but I can let them chime in on that. They are on the call.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rich. Gentlemen, just if you just want to expound upon it very briefly, any representative from BWC in regards to my question, of potential battery storage.
Yeah, Chairman, this is Chris Knight with Blue Wave Solar. Thank you. We don't have any specific details on the specific system that will be used. That'll be part of our procurement process that will occur this spring. My understanding is that the battery system was previously approved as part of the initial site plan that was submitted, but as far as specifics of the system, manufacturer and such, we don't have those specifics at this time. But I did hear the conversation about the standard operating procedures, and of course we'll provide any information to the town that you and the other departments may require.
Thanks, Mr. Knight. Appreciate that. So, gentlemen of the board, with no further questions of the applicants, Mrs. Racine, I'm going to give you the floor if you would, please, ma'am. You'll just have to hit *6 on your phone to unmute yourself. Can we go back to the full
Unmute?
screen?
Oh, there she is. She's there.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Yes,
Originally,
Racine, please identify yourself with your name and your address, please.
yes, Joanne Racine, 624 Middle Street, North Dayton.
Thank you.
When I originally went into this process of looking into a solar farm, I had always requested a path to the back of my property, although I wasn't sure exactly how far south this array of panels would be. When I finally got the plan, I'm not very good at understanding plans looking from above, but I guess it was my lawyer who noticed that I didn't have a clear path to the back of my property. On the back of my property, my house is from the 1700s. So for, 250 years, the land has been farmed. There are paths that go west on the property, and, that the animals or the tractors have gone through. I also have a stream, which supposedly years ago somebody told me was an old Indian or Native American bridge. It's covered with stones, so you can go over the rushing water, and there's also archways with stones. And also there's, there were old pastures surrounded by stone walls from many, many years ago. So I really, I've enjoyed my property, and I hope to continue enjoying all of my land. So that's why I'm requesting that a path be made so that I can access the back of my property.
Okay, thank you. Again, just as a reminder, you'll have to go back to the Conservation Commission because there is an order of conditions that are there because of the vernal pool in the yard, so it's back there. All right. Mr. Riccio will, I'm sure, reach out to Mrs. Caledonia, and, they'll discuss everything that needs to be done, and that'll be taken care of. So, gentlemen of the board, if there are no further questions of Mr. Riccio, the engineer, or any of his other engineers who are on board with us, I'm going to entertain a motion. This is going to be one motion, but twofold, to approve the Hammerhead driveway and also to approve the removal of panels at the BWC Greenbrook LLC 0 and 624 Middle Street, map 8, lot 31 and 80, and 903 Tremont Street, map 8, lot 27. So I just want to separate this. So again, I'm sorry, gentlemen, I confused everyone. We're only going to act on the 903 Tremont Street, map 8, lot 27 modifications.
So moved.
Motion has been made.
Second.
And seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Vice Chairman Woods.
Aye.
Clerk Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Rhines, aye. Rich, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to Kerry and vice versa. Mrs. Racine, Rich, I'm sure, will take care of what you need to have done, and he'll reach out to the Conservation Commission and get the ball rolling in that direction.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I will reach out to Conservation tomorrow and see what we need to do there. The work that we're doing for the path is outside of all the jurisdictional areas of them. So we may be able to discuss that with them briefly and get a determination from them back to the board, so you could act on the other issue.
Okay, great.
All right,
Rich,
thank
just a
you.
question.
Thank you so much.
Rich, this is just a quick question before you go. I saw that the telephone poles have been installed up there. You guys getting ready to start doing inverters, that type of thing yet, or no?
Chris, you want to speak to that quick, or?
No, that wouldn't occur until we approach the town for the building permit. So any work beyond the work that the utility is performing, the town will of course be aware. We'll approach the town for the building permit for any work beyond the utilities work.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot, Mr. Knight. Mr. Riccio, thank you. Mr. Ward, thank you very much. And again, Mrs. Easterday, when are we going to have them back on the agenda?
Well, we don't have anything scheduled right now until
Okay,
we move
Until-
further.
okay.
I'll get
Right.
documentation from Conservation. Hopefully maybe we can discuss this at the next meeting.
Right.
It should be a brief discussion.
Yep.
Okay.
If not,
Great.
we'll
Yeah, I
see
think,
how it plays out with them.
yeah, we won't be able to know until we know what conservation says.
Yep.
And we're in the same office, so.
No, I know. Yeah.
All right.
Jim, I have one question.
Yeah.
Sure, Mr. Wood.
About the battery storage. I see that Mr. Knight said that was in the original plans, and I don't recall that being in the original plans. We're gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had that shown on our second go round. The original plan with just Mr. Cabral's property, it may not have been, but when we came back for our modification, that added Joanne's property to it. We
Well-
did show those.
On the plans, it says proposed energy storage.
Correct.
So it doesn't say
No.
anything about battery storage. There was no discussion about battery storage. There was nothing. So
Nothing.
even in the findings and decisions, it doesn't, there's no reference in your findings and decisions about the energy storage, nor what type of energy storage you're having.
That was never in a discussion. We never talked about it. I don't
Yeah.
remember anything about that.
Correct.
Mm,
Okay, so this is the second solar company who's trying to slide one of those in there.
Yeah.
Is there
So there's
specific?
gonna-
Let-
That's going to be a major, so just like Brook Street, I'm sorry, Miss Vice Chairman, you go ahead.
No, that's okay.
didn't mean to
don't wanna
interrupt.
Discuss it anymore this evening. I'd like to look at the first set of plans that we got
Yeah.
way back in the day and go from there. That's all I have.
Well, the procedure would be just like what Brook Street Solar would have to do. You guys will have to come back for another major modification to the special permit and site plan for the energy storage part. Because it's the same thing that Brook Street Solar that came in under Brook Street Solar. It was the same scenario.
Correct. First set of plans we received was straight for Tremont Street only. It did not include Middle Street, and at the time we received those set of plans, it did not include battery storage. But when they included the second set of plans to go with Mrs. Racine, they included battery storage. But again, they would have to still come back to us for a major modification.
Mhm. For the actual battery storage units that you're going to be using.
Correct.
Because on the plans that I looked at and that you were approved for the modification, on the plans.
From February 2020.
Yeah. It says proposed energy storage units.
And we
Correct.
did submit and we did submit documentation with regards to battery within the application package.
And in that
I
battery,
am-
Yep. And when I looked through that, it said that it had some storage units and it had some inverter information. It had nothing about battery storage. It had inverter information. So the question is, what kind of battery storage units are you having? But the other thing is that was never presented to the board and discussed with the board, because
Or
on
the
the
fire chief.
plans, or the fire chief. And the other thing you have to realize is on the plans, it says proposed. I think that's a key word, proposed. So if you have proposed, that's not a solid plan.
We'll
And it's
review
not
what
in
we
the
need to
findings
submit.
and decisions. It's not in the findings decisions either.
Hey, Rich,
We'll
what
look
we-
at what we need to do.
Well, we
I'm
have
just,
you here,
I'm just
Rich.
looking at, excuse me?
I said, well, we have Rich here. I'm looking at all the screening, and you can talk with Grasshopper Energy about their screening and how happy the residents were with that. So, let's bump up the screening a little bit and make everybody happy.
I think the screening plan we presented to the board is very, very extensive on our original design.
Okay, well, I
That was with the,
a lot, just so you know.
no, I know. Remember, if you recall, we put in an earthen berm with the solid wood fence across the top. There was a lot of discussion going back and forth about that.
I remember, and I'm looking at the plans now, and that's just one small section that goes up to Middle Street, maybe 100 feet. And the rest is just whatever you plan on planting, arborvitaes or whatever, you know. But that's for another day. But, you know, just look at what happened with Grasshopper Energy and the screening they provided and said they were going to put up. And, you know, I'm just trying to save you extra work in the long run and save us extra headaches.
Good, but one other thing is that in regards to the battery storage, we, as the town, we still don't know what we're gonna require. Because this is all new to us, so I think you may want to just wait until we know exactly what we're gonna require and then apply then. Or am I not?
Well, we're going to do a little bit of research into what I'm looking at the submittal we made back in 2020. It shows an energy storage system, Samsung battery platform with what type of battery. It was all in the narrative that we submitted. Maybe it wasn't referenced in the decision properly, but it is in what we submitted. But we'll figure if this is not sufficient, we'll work with the board and getting whatever they need.
I honestly don't recall anything about batteries. That's. But you know what? Let's play your cards the way we can play it. That's all. This battery thing it's nothing ever came up that I know of. So.
Yeah, we'll get this all figured out. Or get it figured out in the wash, as they say. So, Rich, you know your tasks are going forward. This is Racine. I'm sure that Mr. Riccio will take care of what you need to take care of in regards to the Conservation Commission. Members, we voted. And again, Mrs. Easterday, I think that it'll be a while, Rich, before you probably get a chance to come before us again. But when you get everything else straightened out with Conservation, please reach out to Mrs. Easterday. That way we can get you back on the agenda.
Okay, will do.
Thank you very much, everyone
All
from
right, thank you.
PWC Greenbrook. Thank you very much and have a great night.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let the screen clear up a little bit here. So So gentlemen of the board, I'm going to move on to agenda item number C2, which is the FY '23 proposed budget request. So I'm going to just open things up myself before I give the floor over to our office manager. Is that you're going to see that everything came in level funded other than Mrs. Easterday's salary, and also a request for a 2% raise for the planning board. And personally, myself, is that, gentlemen, we know how much time we spend, how many, sets of plans that we receive, the amount of phone calls we get, emails going back and forth, so on and so forth. And just in my humble opinion, I don't believe that a 2% raise on $200 for 5 members is going to break the town of Dayton's bank. So that's just my opinion. And gentlemen, I'm just going to open it up to any of the members that would like to talk about that addition into our budget.
I'll move.
Any questions on that? All right, so no questions in regards to
Jumping
asking.
right to the vote.
Yep, no, not yet.
So Carrie, I
But,
just want you to know that I went back and looked and I was just looking at the wrong column.
Oh, is that what you, okay.
I looked at the
Yeah,
green
this-
column. I'm like, why are these all dashes? This is bigger than that one. I didn't realize I was looking at the expend. I forgot. I was comparing it to the wrong one. So
I
yeah,
know.
all good. Thank you.
I know, there's too many columns.
I'd like to say we need to send a strong message to the town administrator and the finance committee, because they love to pick on the smallest budgets they can. They never trim any fat on the big budgets. It's been a couple of years since we got a lousy 2%, might work out to be $35 or something. But like Mr. Ryan said, we get a lot of, we're here twice a month. Sometimes we're here for hours. We want a little bit of respect. That's all I'm asking for. If they don't want to give us a lousy 2%, maybe we should cut back to 1 meeting a month.
I don't think they realize it. We are the busiest board in town. I don't think they realize that. I don't think they really understand that.
It's not about the money, it's the principle, right?
No, I agree.
I'm not gonna throw out any names, but this one and that one, they get whatever they want, okay?
No, I agree. It does. It really does come down to principle. I hate to say it like that too, Woody. You're right.
Right.
I want to say this before I turn the floor over to Kerry, is that we're not asking for any big budget items this year. We have nothing on our radar. We have our large plan printer that we're still paying a fee on, and also with, I believe it's the zoning board of appeals, and who's the other entity, Kerry, with that? It's helping the paper, or it's just
For the
large plan copier?
for the map printer?
Yes.
That's just about it, actually. And actually, there's really nothing. It's just scanning.
Yeah, but we're only paying a minimal fee on that, I believe, so.
Yeah, it's like 106 a
yearly
month, if that, 106 a month, and I split it between most of it is ZBA, planning, and conservation. So
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if it's conservation or not. So that's about it. We don't really, again, have any major budget items. Just union rate hikes, wage hikes. So that's about it.
yeah.
So, gentlemen, Mrs. Easter, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, we were asked to level fund. We don't have anything anticipating to come in, so we're able to level fund. That should make them happy. That's about it.
So, gentlemen, I'm going to, I'm not sure exactly when the finance committee is set at their schedule and when they're going to meet, but I'm sure that I will be attending that meeting that evening to represent the planning board. So, gentlemen, I'm just going to entertain a motion to approve our submittal for the FY '23 proposed budget request.
I think Joe had a question.
Yes, Mr. Cavallo.
I think Joe had a question.
I did. I just wanted to make sure that if we could review the plans that this solar company submitted to make sure that we didn't miss anything. I think it's, somewhere along the line, I feel that there's a misunderstanding. And I just want to make sure that that's not the case.
So
Oh.
just so you know, I have already met with the building commissioner and he and I went through it. I met
Okay.
actually with Chairman Rhines, I believe, right? Didn't you and I sit and go through it?
Yes.
And I believe it was with also Todd Pilling of the health department, because he was the one that, I think he was the one that was like, hey, wait a minute, you have that one, you already approved one. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I showed him and I said, look, there's nothing in here in our findings and decisions. And when they did their presentation, there was no discussion about battery storage units. Nothing. There was nothing.
All right.
So, I mean, yeah, again, when you look at the plan, it says propose, and it doesn't even say battery storage units. It says battery energy storage. So when I was looking through it, now I'm not an engineer, but when I was reading through and going through the pamphlets and stuff that they gave me, they showed the battery storage boxes that they put those in, but then they showed the units that they were using was inverters. So I'm like, okay, well, inverters, that's a little bit different, not a battery storage unit.
I just,
But
I want
again,
to
yeah,
point out there. Yes, sorry, Carrie, I just want to catch
No,
you real quick because you
please
said,
do.
yeah, you said proposed energy battery storage. Actually, it says proposed energy storage and electrical equipment pads. I
See?
can tell you for a fact, electrically, a proposed energy storage and electrical equipment pad pertains to inverters and capacitors, not batteries.
Thank you.
That's
And
not the-
that's how I
that's-
was reading it.
That's not a battery language, so they never floated batteries by us. A capacitor and an inductor, which are
How do you know
filters,
that,
power.
Jeff?
Wicked
Because he's
smart.
wicked smart.
So battery, you have to have me say it. Wicked smart, dude. No, so like if you put capacitors and inductors and regulators, which all make up inverters and power regulation, those are technically storage. They store energy.
Right.
You can't make the extension of, we talked about proposed energy storage and electrical equipment pads. We were talking about lithium ion Connex boxes for energy storage. No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
so I am on the right track here, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
That's
that's
what-
not a battery storage unit.
That's my opinion. So, but
Right.
I think
All right,
I think what he
Jeff,
thinks
I believe
otherwise.
you. No,
Right.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They have two different narratives, two different things.
Very two different narratives. And also on top of that, I ran it by the building commissioner. I ran it by Todd. I'm looking through this and I'm going, and, I also think, and we can run it by council if and when we ever get to that point, is say, it's not in the findings and decisions. So that would tell me and tell the board, you still have to come back for a major modification to get approved for a battery storage unit, because it's no different from what Brook Street. It's no different.
Okay, we
I
got.
hope you don't mind my bringing that up, but I just
No,
want to make sure that we cross the Ts and dot the Is.
right. I mean, I kind of freaked out because I called our building commissioner when it was first, the red flag kind of got waved and I totally freaked, and I called the building commissioner right away. I said, I need you over here right away to take a look at this and tell me I'm not losing it. And he went through it with me and he said, no, this says proposed and it's not even referencing battery storage units. It's basically what Jeff was just saying. He's like, no, you didn't approve a battery storage. I was like, oh, thank goodness, because that would have been a problem.
Okay,
Because
we
that's
gotta
when
wrap this
Grasshopper
up.
was going on.
Wrap it up. Chris don't look too
Yep.
good, so Chris, you can sign off, brother.
Sorry, Chris, sorry.
You'll make it.
No.
I have one more question before we move on. I promise.
Okay.
One more.
Okay.
So I was looking around while you were talking to find the term, but what's the is it appropriate to hit the pause button on solar projects until we get our documentation in order? What do they call that? There's a legal term for that.
Well, I don't know if we can legally table, because then that ends our
No.
discussion.
No, not
you know.
table. It's
Moratorium?
moratorium. Thank you.
A
How about
moratorium.
it's
Is it
not?
appropriate to submit a moratorium on PV projects in the town of Dayton for 6 months until we get our ducks in a row? Because we don't have our ducks in a row.
Yeah, that would be a legal question for council. I know moratoriums can be really tough because there have to be studies and stuff in place. But I can certainly pick Attorney Tollerman's brain on that if you'd like.
Please do.
You might say, what are you, nuts? Or you might say, oh, that's easy.
Yeah. I don't know. He might also say you probably, by the time you get a moratorium put in place, you could probably have your ducks in a row by then too. But I can certainly do some, I can also do some research and see if I can find anything online or whatever about how to do that if we can.
Do you see,
What's that?
Carrie,
Yeah.
do you see any, when you had a meeting, do you see anything being resolved in the next 2 months or anything like that? Or what's your timetable?
With Brook Street?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think we're pretty close. I think working with the other team members, you know, we came up with a pretty good solid, I mean, we still have a little ways to go. And we also, I have a decision from Rehoboth that had a really good solid decision in place that that Attorney Tollerman actually said to extract from to help us in having our findings and decisions with them. And I think, you know, as long as again, I think it's good to keep in mind that, you know, yeah, the planning board can approve the battery storage units, but ultimately it's the fire chief who's going to be signing off on that actual permit saying you can have it or you can't because you got to meet certain requirements. So, you know, it's kind of like a double assurance, so to speak.
Yeah.
On that.
You know,
but we're pretty close, and we actually tomorrow or probably Monday of next week, I'm going to be calling with the town administrator to set up another meeting to go over any fine tuning if they have any on, you know, some of the things that we have, anything more that they may have thought of. I've been doing a little more research and stuff. Jeff provided a ton of information for me way back. I think it was when you first started on the board, Jeff. And you went to an MMA meeting about solar. Gosh, it was way back when.
Mixed martial arts?
Yeah. So not MMA. What was it? It was a Serpent meeting. It was a Serpent meeting, and they did a big thing on solar. And I had printed a bunch of that out, and it actually was very, very helpful. A lot of the information that I was doing research on came from that. And it was very helpful. So yeah, I think we'll be able to come up with something pretty relatively shortly. You know, I don't want to say 1 month, but I don't want to give a definite time frame, but I don't think it's going to be too far out, to be honest with you.
I'd like to just ask that you send the documents that you gave to me the other day, the draft zoning changes and the other documents. Hold on a second.
The ones that I used?
Energy storage itself, the other considerations, solar best practices guide.
Yeah.
Send that out, because I want to just, before we get out and leave tonight, I just want to say this again and just read this, okay? And I think that we have, you know, could possibly have, like Jeff said, a possible moratorium, is that this gap, there's been a gap recognized at both the state and federal level in regards to energy storage. Now, the U.S. Department of Energy has established an energy storage safety collaborative, which is working on updates to the various safety codes, regulations, and standards, known as the CSRs. The clean energy report is supporting the development as well as exploring outreach and education opportunities for emergency personnel and other relevant authorities. Because energy storage systems are evolving quickly, the guidance provided below is relatively general and preliminary. Okay, but again, it states that the authorities having jurisdiction, which is the fire chief, is going to be the final say. So in other words, we still have our checks and balances on this, but I still think that we have a possible better delay in really getting our ducks in a row in our wording, because it states a lot of this in this document itself, that, you know, you have to look at training fire personnel, you have to have possibly somebody in the area that could be on site at that location if something goes wrong. Now, the thing is that, maybe I shouldn't say this, but do we know that after we possibly approve everything that they do, they sell, they're gone, somebody else comes in, what next? Now, they still have to go by the rules and regulations of what's said, but I want to go back to what Joe said in regards to, and Kerry, about decisions. Decisions have to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. So what was done in the beginning in regards to no battery storage has already been recorded. So they would, again, if they come back to us for any modifications, the findings and decisions get changed, it gets re-recorded at the Registry of Deeds. Am I right, Terry?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to think about that aspect. All right, so I know we want to get wrapping things up, so we were voting on approving the FY23, I'm sorry, the FY23 proposed budget request. So we had a motion, second, so let's go back to the roll call vote.
I didn't have a second. I have a Joe Figurito motion, but I need someone to second.
Robert Wood seconded.
Thank you.
And seconded. Any further discussion on the approval of the FY23 proposed budget request? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Vice Chairman Woods.
I would like to vote yes.
Yes.
Clerk Figurito.
Yes.
I too would like to vote in the affirmative.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Ryan says aye. Thank you, gentlemen. That will, request will be submitted, and when the Finance Committee notifies us of when they're meeting for budget requests, be there, of course. So I want to move on to agenda item 4C, number 3, and that's the amend the 2022 meeting schedule. Mrs. Easterday.
Gentlemen, I'm really, really sorry.
Well, that'll depend on if we get our raise or not.
Well, no, you want this amendment anyways. Trust me.
Okay.
It's either a
I messed
2%
up.
raise or be there for Labor Day weekend. You gotta pick one.
I know, right? So when I did the 2022 meeting for the year, I don't know what I was thinking, but I scheduled our September meeting the week of Labor Day week, and we never meet that week. So I'm just proposing that we not meet that week and go September 21st, which is the third Wednesday of that month. I messed up.
We're fine with that.
It's okay with me.
Well, gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion that the schedule be amended as follows from the meeting on the week of Labor Day to go to the 23rd of September.
21st.
21.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made. And second, any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote on the amended 2022 meeting schedule.
Aye.
By roll.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Woods.
Aye.
Aye.
Clerk Figurito, Member Cavallo,
Aye.
Member Cunha,
Aye.
Chairman Francis, and aye. Gentlemen, move on to agenda item number 5, and that's, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 5th of 2022. Motion's been made. In the second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion and approval of the meeting minutes of January 5th of 2022? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Vice Chairman Woods.
Yes.
Aye.
Figurito. Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Ryan is an aye. Any correspondence this month?
This is outrageous behavior.
We have no correspondence at this time.
Do we have any public input? I see somebody on the chat. There's a one on the chat. What does that mean?
That was,
On the bottom of my screen.
That was only me.
On
That
the
was-
chat?
Yeah,
Oh, Jeff
I'll
earlier.
be sure not to post anything emergent there.
All right, that's all right. Now I know who it was.
no,
No public input. Gentlemen, I'm going to remind everybody of our next meeting is I can't see
February
my
2nd.
calendar. February 19th?
February 2nd.
I'm sorry, February 2nd, jeez. Just as a reminder, February 2nd is our next meeting, and gentlemen, I'm entertaining a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion on adjournment? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. By Chairman Woods.
Aye.
Vice Figueroa.
Hi.
Oh,
I'm
Aye.
trying to save you a little bit, you know?
You got to do it twice anyway.
nope, I totally understand. So gentlemen, there's been a second, and as we voted, again, a reminder, our next meeting date is February 2nd of 2022 at 6 p.m. Thank you very much, and good night, Dayton.
As always,
Thank you.
it's a pleasure. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Cable.
Have a good
Good night.
evening.
Have a good day, a good one, guys. Thank you.
Take care now.
Take
See you
care.
guys soon.
Thanks, you too.